Welcome back to my Blender Weekly Progress Report, a series where I showcase everything I've learned in practice in the past week in the 3D rendering software Blender, in order to document my journey and to share any pieces of knowledge I gather along the way. When thinking about projects to give myself this week, I thought back to my childhood. Out of the many games I played growing up in my youth, one that stood the test of time was Kingdom Hearts. The soundtrack, story, the combined universe of Disney and Final Fantasy was something else. I still wonder what the hell they were smoking and who let them cook, for real. So naturally, I went with the Keyblade for Kingdom Hearts. I thought back to the Game Boy tutorial and the importance of making objects to scale in Blender. It's good for sending objects over to people when collaborating, and also for the project as a whole when you have multiple pieces interacting with one another, like a character riding a bike, for example. I found this pretty cool reference online with someone from Reddit and used that as a blueprint for the Keyblade I would end up creating. It began by modeling. I think I get the formula now. You really have to start by blocking out the different shapes and creating building blocks and segmenting each area. The first block was the pipe-like shape going down the middle of the blade. I follow along, making sure to match the protrusions and indentations as closely as possible. After that, it was a matter of making the handles. I thought I could do the whole thing, but eventually found it easier to just mirror one side to the other, creating bevels in the corners where it counts. I had another plane to connect to and then used a sphere to create the bottom corners of the handles. I connected the areas where it matters and dissolved the rest, making sure the normals were correct before extruding the whole object to give it the depth it needed. About halfway done, I would say, I went to the teeth of the Keyblade, at least that's what this picture calls it. I made sure to go back to the references to get the right size, and same as before, just follow the angles by adding and rearranging vertices, and there it is. The final coup de grace was the chain to the key, or the keychain if you will. I tried recreating the latch they had, but yeah, it just wasn't working out, so I just made a basic chain, used an array modifier to have it looped, applied it, and there was the chain. Finished off with the Mickey Mouse head, super simple. 3 balls, create a connecting notch, and voila. Finished up the details like the holes on the circular corners, fixing the normals, and beveling out any small corners to give it a more cohesive look. The shading was super easy and made sure to follow the reference image with the proper coloring. I tried having the chain be loose and dangling so that when I moved the blade, it would ricochet and have weight, but still not too confident with the physics part yet, so I left it as it is. Despite all this, it felt like the project didn't go far enough. I brainstormed for like 2 seconds and knew the solution already. It was an easy one too. I would simply just add Mickey's Keyblade, which was just a very quick reshading. Here's the final result. I finished Monday with just 3 hours of Blender time. Tuesday was by far the shortest time I spent blendering, but the most excited I've ever been. I wanted to take the project further again and thought a still image wouldn't be enough, and animation is what it's going to have to be. I did some camera marking and keyframing to get different motions and movements. Did the same thing with different light sources, and this was the result. I called it here because honestly it felt awesome seeing this come to life in a way that it did. It felt like Blender had finally clicked for me. I also, just on a side note, had been writing intensively this past week, which pertains to the goals I'll share with you at the end of this video, so stay tuned. Tuesday was just a quick 30 minutes. I felt awesome recreating something else from my childhood, so I thought, what else did I love as a growing youth? Well, it was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Wanting to keep it simple but also interesting, I decided to go with Aang's staff. After a quick brainstorming session with Nero at like 2 AM. Started with the staff modeling, no biggie, just a long rectangle. Created a duplicate that's going to help out later. Added the pins or buttons by just creating a circle, extruding it a couple of times, and connecting the appropriate face. I deleted half the staff and mirrored it so I wouldn't have to repeat the same steps. Repeated the same step for the bottom part of the staff because the top part has 2 and the bottom part has 1. some basic coloring and shading, and donezo. Tried beveling and adding texture, but we go as far as we go with that one. Then came that part of me that wanted to up the ante yet again. Live fast, live furious. I began tinkering with a cloud sim particle system to create the illusions of clouds flying by the staff. I made a simple cloud using some morph balls and used a plane as an emitter of that cloud. Gave it varying sizes and rotations to add some variety, which this part took a lot of tweaking since it was my first time. I still don't know what the hell I did, but found something I could be semi-happy with. But Aang's staff opens up when flying.
Yeah, I know.
The duplicate I made would be used to create the connecting parts to Aang's staff's wings. This took a ton more tweaking, but eventually I got what I wanted. Created a loop cut on all the extending pieces down the middle. Connected them and colored them to create the cloth, and eureka, we now have an Airbender staff. I also duplicated a portion of the top wing into the bottom wing to create those bottom flaps as well. Gave the staff and the camera some movement keys, and this is the result. This short also kind of blew up and gave this channel its first achievement of hitting over 1K on a short and beyond. I finished the night not feeling super complete, so I ended up just practicing some sculpting for the first time. It was definitely new, but somehow familiar since I used to doodle and sketch a lot when I was a kid. Can you guess what I made? I was going for like a vampire, I guess? Still a fun, noteworthy first try. I finished Wednesday with 5 hours and 13 minutes in Blender time. So I thought I could try and sculpt a concept art for this project I've been writing about for many years now. I was just a little bit overzealous and ended up scrapping the whole thing because there's so much more I need to practice and learn, honestly. I have a Wacom Intuos Pro Medium and I love the feeling like I'm drawing in Blender. I ended up coming up with some kind of fish creature, but I'll let you be the judge of that. The next attempt at a sculpt was some kind of dinosaur. I'm glad I'm at least semi-okay at making my intentions a thing. This time I tried using actual paint and just having fun with it. Feeling like that inner kid and younger me used to have when I was drawing. And here are the results. I finished Thursday with 2 hours and 20 minutes in Blender. Wow, what a week. I really feel my momentum building. So to go back to what these goals were for this channel, well, they definitely became to create a CGI short film, probably more along the lines of like a teaser or trailer for the story I've been writing. My goal is to get pretty good with all the areas in Blender so that I can see the connecting dots. And I'm trying to do that within the first 6 months of this year. By the end of the year, I want to be able to at least master 1 or 2 of these areas. Along the way, I want to start designing and creating assets for my eventual project, which if you mark the date, March 10th, 2026, will be when the production begins. I hope I can give you something to look forward to and hoping it will be epic. In the meantime, nothing left to do except keep practicing and getting better and better. The animation I have in mind this week is something I think you'll want to look forward to. Until then, get ready for some time lapses in Blender every Tuesday, and I'll see you next week.